Hello folks and welcome to my channel. I'm finally getting around to doing another video. Yay! In this video I want to talk about my number one favorite YouTube channel. It's called What the Hales. And Hales is spelled H-A-L-E $. Yes, you heard me correctly. It's not an S, it's a $. There is a reason for why it's a $. Because of what they do. So, anyways, What the Hales is a channel that was created a number of years ago by this gentleman by the name of Jeremy Hales. He's very tall. He's friendly. He's a white guy, and he's a Christian. He buys storage units at auction, and he has a fiance who goes by the name George. George is her legal middle name, and she's Egyptian. She's a sweet little Egyptian lady who has gone through cancer at least twice now. They've been engaged for a couple of years now. Yeah. So they reside in Ohio, and let's see. So they reside in Ohio, and they buy storage units at auction. They used to do coin pusher videos. But with the way things have been going for the last couple of years for them, they have not been able to get to the casino to be able to play do the coin pusher videos. I also don't know I don't know the details about all of that. But anyways, when was it? Back in 2021. So I don't have I do have notes here. See, I've got notes. It's not much, but it's just the gist of everything. But anyways, so I started watching them a number of years ago, and when they used to sell stuff on the majority of their stuff, like they used to sell on eBay, and Jeremy was renting a warehouse from a lady in this little town called Wooster, Ohio. And I came across his channel. It just popped up on my feed in YouTube. He was going through he was going through some legal issues with the owner of the warehouse. She had the warehouse was owned by a little old lady named Marilyn Raby, and she ended up acquiring the nickname Marilyn Raby who sucks dried gravy, because it rhymes. Because she became a big pain in the neck, basically, because she started claiming that Jeremy was not paying rent for the warehouse, even though he was. So she ended up changing the locks and shutting off the power and shutting off the water to the warehouse, because there's a small bathroom in the building. So she was denying him access to his property, which was in the warehouse. So he wasn't able to all the stuff that was in the warehouse was stuff that was for sale on eBay. So he ended up having to take her to court, and Jeremy had proof that yes, he had been paying the rent, because she had a guy that was like the caretaker of the property, and he was like a business partner. So Jeremy had actually done all the arrangements for renting the warehouse through this other individual, and he made monthly payments by check to the company, not the individual. And then she came to him one day behind her business partner's back and said that she wanted him to start paying. She basically wanted him to start paying her directly. And he's like, no. My contract is with the company. The checks go to this individual, and so yeah, it was a big thing. It ended up becoming a big thing because he was pretty much locked out for the better part of a year from the warehouse. It went to court and whatnot, and she became quite difficult to deal with. There was even in one of his videos, he vlogs everything about their lives. So like he's recording almost constantly. So he's got video proof of all of this stuff that was happening. But yeah, it went to court. He finally eventually ended up managing to gain access back to the warehouse so that he could get his stuff out. They had started getting stuff out, and then the locks got changed again. They managed to get back into the building to get the rest of the stuff out, and then apparently her nephew, son, grandson, whatever, gained access to the building, and stuff went missing. They trashed the place a bit. A bunch of his stuff went missing. Some of it was what's the word? Darn squirrel brain. They managed to get some of the stuff back. Like he had 2 Pepsi vending machines. There was a business across the road that this guy from the business across the road had wanted one of the vending machines, but Jeremy was like, nope, not getting rid of it and whatnot. And well, this woman went and she basically let the guy come and take it. Well, Jeremy did eventually end up getting it back. I don't know whatever happened with the vending machines. But, yeah, she also had, Jeremy had also sold one of he has like the big utility trailers, that he would use for pulling, would load everything from the storage unit into it to take it back to the warehouse to sort through and whatnot. Well, he sold one of his trailers because he had 2. He sold one of them to the lady's business partner, so that, and then the guy was gonna, like, he had some of his stuff in the trailer, and for a few days, and then when he went to go pick up the trailer to take it back to his place, the trailer was gone. Yeah, it had been stolen. She had actually contacted the police to ask the police if they could help her haul it away. And they were like, no. But she apparently managed to find somebody to haul the trailer away. And not just the trailer went missing, but like the dude's stuff had all been taken out of the back of the trailer and just left at the warehouse. There was someone else that was renting renting part of another building on the property. So he was another tenant. He had a cube truck there that was also stolen as well. Neither of those items were ever recovered. But yeah, Jeremy took her to court and whatnot to try and to try and recoup at least some of his losses, because yeah, he lost like a year's worth of wages from like selling stuff on eBay. But he eventually, at the end of the day, he eventually ended up dropping the case. Yeah, because he managed to get his stuff, what was left. Anyways, he managed to get what was left, and he relocated all of his items to another location. I'm just trying to remember where, because it was a few years ago. Oh my goodness, yeah, I can't remember. But he had this young couple, because also at the same time he's also a landlord. He owns a few buildings that he rents out, some houses and an apartment building that it's an older apartment building. And when at the beginning of 2020, he had this young couple that had recently moved in. And they were like in their early 20s, and they had only been there like a couple months, 2-3 months, something like that, when the world shut down, and Jeremy lost a few employees. So he was looking for some new employees, and he went to his tenants and said, well, look, I'll make you a deal. You can live here rent free if you're willing to come work for me. And, well, this young couple, they both were like, yeah, sure, okay. So they started working for him, helping him out with doing the storage units and whatnot. So not only did they get, like, was their rent paid, their rent and utilities were basically covered, and they got paid. And then in 2021... they went and they bought they went to Florida. Jeremy and George went to Florida, and they found a lovely piece of property, like 70 plus acres of property, in a little town called Otter Creek, in Florida. And what really piqued their interest in this property, because they wanted to like expand their business of buying storage units and selling online, was they wanted to expand into Florida, because they eventually one day wanted to, down the line, move to Florida like permanently, but like still keep property up in Ohio. So it's like a lot of swampland, and there's a little old ranch house there, and there's a cell tower. So they needed property where with good cell service, Wi-Fi signal, all that stuff. So with this cell tower on the property, it just worked out perfectly. So they decided like they were going to eventually build a big warehouse on the property for like storing all their storage unit items, and while living in the house, in the ranch house, and then like traveling back and forth. They left. I'm trying to remember now. Actually, I think they ended up, yes, I am remembering now. They did end up in Ohio. They ended up buying a warehouse, some land with warehouses, 1 or 2 warehouses, a warehouse on the land. So that's where like they now store the items in Ohio. And this young couple, their names are Patience and Christian. Lovely, wonderful young couple. They take care of the business end of things in Ohio for Jeremy and George. So they would like do what's called a fine-tooth sort. They'd go through every single piece of paper and every single little like nook and cranny of all of the items from the storage units in Ohio. And then down in Florida, they they ended up with, they started working on doing the same thing down there. So yeah, they were going to build a warehouse on the property. But then they ended up finding out about a church. No, not a church. An old schoolhouse. An old schoolhouse that was up for sale. And so they eventually ended up buying the schoolhouse. And it's a nice, big, huge building. So now they use that for like a warehouse, amongst other things, in Florida. And they're such wonderful people. They ended up buying a nice, big, beautiful house. In Ohio. That they moved into together. Because before that, they were living in their own separate houses, and then the young couple, Patience and Christian, they moved into the house, from the little apartment that they were in. They moved into the house, one of the houses that Jeremy had originally been living in, and so anyways. My mind just keeps wanting to go off on a tangent. But anyways, so they at one point they ended up going on a trip. And like they went to several different places around the world. One of the places was they ended up going to Egypt. On this one trip they went to Egypt. They were gone for almost a full month in Egypt, and it was actually George's first time ever going to Egypt, even though she's from Egypt. Like she's Egyptian, but her parents, like her mother and aunt, had emigrated to America, to the States, when they were little girls. So George had actually never been to Egypt before. So the two of them, they explored and traveled, and they recorded all of it. And oh my God, the sunrise! Like oh my goodness, there's one place in all of Egypt where you can go on a hot air balloon ride, and so they did that, and they got to see the sunrise in a hot air balloon. Yeah. And Jeremy was very popular in Egypt because he's so tall and everybody else is so short. But while they were in Egypt, George's aunt, they met up with George's aunt, who's actually lives in California. I think it's California. I think she's living. Yeah, I think so. And she was telling them about how she was doing this thing of like collecting school bags for the Egyptian children. Now in Egypt, families are either upper class or lower class. There's no middle class. So all like the lower class children in Egyptian children, they struggle with like the basic needs for school. So George's Aunt Camelia, had collected like 300 school bags the year before, and she was trying to go for 500 that year for the new school year. So like they were in Egypt for the month of February, and they actually left Egypt like within a couple of days before the airports were shut down all over the world due to the Russia and Ukraine issue started. Like Yeah. So, yeah, thankfully they got out of there when they did, or else they would have been stuck in Egypt for a lot longer than just a month. So anyways, Jeremy and George decided to help her out. After they got back to Ohio, they reached out to their subscribers, to their fan base, and asked for help. I can't remember what the total was, but not only did they raise school bag, school bags, receive school bags, they received thousands of school bags. So like over and above the 500 that Aunt Camelia was going for. But not only did they get school bags, but they ended up with school supplies for the children. And there was even bathroom supplies and clothes, and there were even supplies for the teachers, and there were even toys, like sports equipment and stuff like that. Like, they ended up having to, like, they had originally planned on, like, just throwing all the school bags into some luggage to take with them on the plane to go back, at like the end of August, beginning of September or whatever, to give out the school bags. They ended up having to rent a shipping container, and they filled it with all of this stuff. And unfortunately, Jeremy accidentally broke his foot, so he wasn't able to, like, shortly before, like a month or so before they were gonna go back to Egypt. So unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately they weren't able to go back to help with giving out the school bags. But Aunt Camelia was there, and she got video footage of giving out school bags to a bunch of the students, a bunch of the children. And but that's just one of the many things that this couple have done over the years. There's a Christian camp that Jeremy worked at when he was younger. It was where he actually had his first, I think it was his first job. I'm pretty sure it's in Ohio, called Camp Patmos. But yeah, they ended up raising a bunch of money, and they donated a speedboat to the camp, which was awesome. And they've got video footage of the two of them going out there to Camp Patmos and hanging out with the kids and riding around on the speedboats and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, in 2021 they bought this property in Otter Creek. And then after a while they let's see here, when they reached 500,000, they decided they were getting close to 500,000 subscribers. So they decided to hold an event called Half Mile Time to Grill not in Otter Creek, but in a town close to Otter Creek in Florida. Because Otter Creek only has like a population of approximately 100 people. So they held the event in a town that could handle an influx of a large number of people. And so yeah, Half Mile Time to Grill, and they recorded it, and it was a blast. People came from like all over the world. I mean, like, there were even people from the UK that showed up, as well as from like Canada and all over in the States, and I don't even know where else. But not long before that event, Patience and Christian, the young couple in Ohio, got married, and so they were at the wedding, because they're kind of like they're more. Yeah, not only is Jeremy like their boss, but at times he's like a big brother. and a friend, and so they're considered like YouTube parents, basically. And yeah, when I first started watching them, like a lot of other people, I thought Patience and Christian were Jeremy's kids, his children, but they're not. They were just a young couple that used to be tenants of his and then became employees, and they worked for him part-time. And I believe, yeah, I'm pretty sure now they both work full-time. But at Half Mealtime to Grill, they announced that they were having a baby. So that was lots of fun. Very exciting for everybody. Since then, yeah, they ended up having a baby girl, and they named her Pepper. And that it's been a couple of years now, and they just not too long ago had another baby. They had a baby boy, and they named him not Salt, but oh my goodness, Castiel. Baby Cass? Yeah, I think that's what they named him, was Castiel. But but Jeremy keeps calling him Baby Salt. And it's no longer Baby Pepper, it's Princess Pepper and Baby Salt. Oh my goodness, let me see here. That's a general rundown of the channel and all the people in it. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. In my next video, I'm going to talk about what they've been going through since 2021. That's been has caused a lot of issues for the channel and whatnot. But yeah, they are over 740,000 subscribers now on YouTube. So yeah, they're one of the biggest streaming platforms on YouTube. And they're going through legal issues. And I'll get into those legal issues in my next video, because it's been almost a half an hour. Then hopefully you found this an interesting video, because I really love watching the channel. So, and I'm going to share the link to the channel in the description below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.